Bruce McCurdy.
Well, thank you. Wow.
But I learned 18 years ago, I got here to Alexandria, and as a young salesperson, I figured out very quickly that what business people really want is for you to give them the information they need and then get out. With that in mind, this town is really quite good at transition. We have moved from a rural Minnesota community to a regional hub in education and manufacturing, retail, medical, and tourism. The next step has finally come. In the next few years, we're going to have tremendous change again. The largest of those will be the new high school and the things it brings to town. But not just the building, because there's this huge concentration that comes into a building that is as incredible as what they're putting up on the edge of town. They're also moving to the Academies program, which is a completely different mode of learning. It's teaching kids to be prepared for the future, to teach them how to work for business, for you. The downtown will undergo incredible transition. There's been a lot of talk about this. There will be, by the end of this summer, complete infrastructure and design updates that will take this amazing historic area and take it now to the next level for the next 50 years. Heading into 2015, MnDOT will be putting in roundabouts. There'll be the I-94 bridge will be completely rebuilt, and 50th Avenue will be worked on as well. There are so many things that are changing and growing that we need to spend some time thinking about what we're going to do to get through this, because I would love to say it's painless and everything's going to be great, but I'm not that guy. I'm going to tell you the truth. Here's the thing, the mission of this year is not to just survive. One of the little secrets that nobody really talks about is that in business, in the finest economies this town has ever seen, there were some businesses that went out of business. And yet, the other years, when the recession was bad or when things went on, there were other businesses that quietly thrived. They oftentimes didn't talk about it much because they just wanted to kind of fly under the radar. But the reality is, people who invite business, people who make customers feel welcome, can do incredible things in helping themselves into a brand new future. So what makes the difference? It's your actions. The word transition, in this case, mission transition being the goal, the word transition is a verb, it's an action word, and it is go time. So here's a few things you can do to help yourself. First thing I'd like you to consider is discover what this community doesn't have. At the age of 22, I worked in Grand Forks, North Dakota for a radio station. I was an announcer then. And I would drive limousine in the evening. And so I was tasked with picking up a man at the airport. And unlike most of my customers at that point in time, this guy slid right into the front seat. There was no, hello, my name is, what's your name? He slid into the front seat, looked over at me and went, hey kid, want to make $1 million? You have my attention. Find something nobody else is doing and do it really well. I remember that to this day. If you can discover things, products, services that people want and are wanting to shop for locally, that will help, that will keep them from having to look for it elsewhere. Look for those things. They do exist. Second big thing you can do to help yourself, don't complain. Be positive. I work for a guy who a very wise man, who told me this years ago, and I think of it every day. Maybe not every day. Everybody has a bad day now and then. He says a good attitude does not ensure success. However, a bad attitude does ensure failure. If you see a problem, talk to somebody, name it, get it out, but also try to think of a solution. The only thing worse than hearing about a problem is not hearing about a problem. If we stick together, if we care about each other, if we talk to each other, we can solve the solutions that this summer and next summer and years from now, we can solve this. We can do this. Here's the alternative to that and the results of it. If you're an owner or a manager and you're not positive, the first person you tend to be not positive with is your employees. Your employee will hear what you said and will say, oh my gosh, this business is in trouble. I better leave, find another job, and now the part of your solution has just walked out the door. Or perhaps the worst scenario of this is they stay and now they talk to your customers. What happens when your employee who is now scared talks to a customer and scares the customer is that this customer puts their cash back in their pocket, because scared people don't react well. Be positive. There are a lot of amazing things, and even in the economy of the last 5 years, I don't know whether you guys know this, but we at the radio station, we wander around, we talk to business owners all day long. That's all we do. There are businesses that have grown substantially in the last 5 years. And there are huge opportunities, always. But you have to understand some things along the way. And part of what you need to understand is why people stop doing business with you. They did a study several years ago now. And this is an older study, but the numbers are for the most part true. Why? There are 6 reasons why people stop doing business with your company. 1% of people die. It happens. 3% of people move away. They're offered a job elsewhere, they retire. There's a variety of some. 3% of people move away. It also happens. There's nothing you can do to change that. 5% of people form other business relationships. My wife went to work for your competitor. I'm going to go shop there. 9% of people left for competitive reasons. Price. Now, most people believe that price is a much bigger number than this, and I think during the recession it perhaps was a little higher. But always keep in mind, when it comes to prices, if you give them nothing else to compare to, all they can look at a price as a price tag, of course they're going to choose the lower price. However, if you can get the same price and better service, who wouldn't want that? So price, 9%. 16% left your business because they had a problem you couldn't solve. Now, that's not that many people. There's 67% of your customers remaining. 67% of people stop doing business with your company for one reason: perceived indifference. I'm not talking about actual indifference. You probably care whether they come and shop. I'm talking about perceived indifference. Somebody forgot to tell the waitress not to be snotty tonight. Somebody didn't clean the bathroom. Somebody didn't dust the shelves. Somebody didn't have fun, interesting displays. There are things that you can do to make sure that people know you care. And that, as corny as it sounds, is what it's really all about. You have to actually care. You can learn people's names. Now, I know lots, I've met most of you in the room, and anybody who's talked to me at any length knows that I can't remember names at all. And I will ask over and over and over until I finally get it, because I care enough to actually try. And it's okay not to be able to remember. You know? I should take one of those Ted Carnegie courses. The reality is, if you try, people will respond. If you are one of those magical people who can remember names, you have such a huge advantage. Think about this. My brother comes to town to visit. There are 2 restaurants. One, the waitress is snotty and they treat me horribly. Maybe it's a beautiful restaurant and the menu is great. Here's another restaurant. You know the place. Naugahyde seats, food's kind of greasy. But you walk in the door and they say, "Bruce, glad you're here. Number 6, right?" That's what I would eat every time when I go in. Which place do you think I'm taking my brother? I'm going to the place where they know me, where they treat me like a king. Yeah, king of the dump, but so what? You can buy people's business by simply caring about them. They did a study also of admired traits. What do people admire about other people? They admire people who are grateful. When somebody walks through your door, especially if we're downtown and it's this summer and you know it took extra time and energy and effort to get in the door, first words out of your mouth, "Thank you so much for coming in. I am so grateful you're here. Is there anything I can do?" People respond to grateful people. People go where they're invited. Another thing that's really important is to have first-time eyes when you walk into your own business on Monday morning. First-time eyes involve, I don't know how about you guys, but I just moved to a different office. And on the top of my computer is a big stack of papers about this tall. Now I know what's in it, but to anybody, what's in the stack, but anybody who would walk by my office would go, "Wow, what a mess." First-time eyes says, don't have a stack of stuff on top of your computer. First-time eyes says, dust the shelves, clean the bathroom. Make sure your house is in order, that your signage is excellent, that everything that you can control, you do control, that your employees stop talking to each other when a customer walks through the door, and instead pay attention to the customer. There's a variety of things that are so easy to fix. You have to keep in mind that there are the companies that will do best are companies that provide a bundle of benefits for the burdens of shopping. And when I talk about a burden in shopping, I'm talking about sloppy, unattractive, slow checkouts, boring merchandising displays, poorly trained employees. There are all of these things are within your control, and you can work on them right now. There are so many things you can do. And it's important to remember that transition is a verb. We will transition to the next level in this community. And it starts with you, and it starts tonight, right now. Thank you so much for the time, and we look forward to a great year.
Very nice.